World War I, from 1914 to 1918, reshaped not only the political boundaries of the world, but also the roles and perceptions of women in society. As millions of men were called to the front lines, women across the globe stepped into roles that had previously been denied to them. They served as nurses, doctors, ambulance drivers, factory workers, and even soldiers, sometimes officially, often unofficially. Their contributions were essential to the war effort, and their bravery in the face of danger remains an enduring testament to their resilience and strength. Among the many women who left an indelible mark on history during World War I, 5 stand out for their exceptional service and sacrifice: Edith Cavell, Helen Fairchild, Mary Borden, Flora Sandes, and Evelina Haverfield. Each came from a different background and followed a different path, but all shared a profound sense of duty and courage. Edith Cavell, the Martyr Nurse. Edith Cavell was a British nurse whose name became synonymous with sacrifice and moral courage. Born in 1865 in Norfolk, England, Cavell trained as a nurse relatively late in life, beginning her studies at age 30. By the time World War I broke out in 1914, she was already a well-known figure in nursing, having established the first training school for nurses in Belgium. When the German army invaded Belgium, Cavell chose to stay in Brussels, where she continued to operate her nursing school and treat soldiers from both sides of the conflict. But her role soon extended far beyond caregiving. With great risk to herself, she began assisting wounded Allied soldiers and helping them escape occupied Belgium via a secret network. Over the course of a year, Cavell helped around 200 men reach safety. In August 1915, the Germans arrested Cavell and charged her with treason. She confessed freely, believing she had acted out of humanitarian duty. Despite international pleas for clemency, including appeals from neutral nations, Cavell was executed by a German firing squad on October 12, 1915. Her death shocked the world and was used by the Allied powers as a rallying cry against German brutality. Yet beyond the propaganda, Edith Cavell's legacy is one of unwavering compassion. As she herself said before her execution, "Patriotism is not enough. I must have no hatred or bitterness for anyone." Helen Fairchild, the battlefield nurse from America. Helen Fairchild was an American nurse who served with distinction on the Western Front. Born in 1885 in Pennsylvania, she became a nurse at a time when the profession was still gaining recognition and respect. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Fairchild was among the first to volunteer for overseas duty with the US Army Nurse Corps. Assigned to a British casualty clearing station near the front lines in Belgium, Fairchild worked under incredibly harsh conditions. Nurses there were exposed to constant shell fire, gas attacks, and the harrowing sight of thousands of wounded soldiers. Fairchild was known for her calm demeanour and determination, providing care in the face of overwhelming adversity. What makes Fairchild's story particularly poignant is her personal correspondence. The letters she sent home to her family paint a vivid picture of life on the front, gritty, chaotic, and often terrifying. They also reveal her deep sense of empathy and commitment to her patients. In late 1917, Fairchild began suffering from chronic stomach issues, likely exacerbated by exposure to mustard gas. She underwent surgery in early 1918 but never recovered. She died at just 33 years old, far from home, one of the countless medical personnel who paid the ultimate price. Helen Fairchild's story is a reminder that not all heroes die in battle. Some work tirelessly behind the scenes, quietly bearing the weight of war on their shoulders. Mary Borden, the poetess of the battlefield. Mary Borden was a wealthy American-born writer and philanthropist who chose to serve as a nurse on the front lines of World War I. Born in Chicago in 1886, Borden was already a published novelist and poet when the war began. She married a British officer and moved to Europe, where she quickly joined the war effort by founding and operating a field hospital on the Western Front. Flora Sandes, the soldier in uniform. Flora Sandes was the only British woman officially to serve as a soldier in World War I. Born in 1876 in Yorkshire, England, she defied societal expectations from a young age. Adventurous and independent, she initially trained as a nurse and travelled to Serbia with a medical unit when war broke out. But it was in Serbia that her life took an extraordinary turn. After witnessing the Serbian army decimated by enemy forces and disease, Sandes felt compelled to do more than nurse the wounded. She wanted to fight. She enlisted in the Serbian army, eventually rising to the rank of sergeant major. Her bravery in battle earned her numerous decorations, including Serbia's highest military honour, the Order of the White Eagle. She was wounded in action but returned to serve again. After the war, she continued to live in the Balkans and remained a committed supporter of the Serbian people. Flora Sandes' story is remarkable not just because she broke the gender barrier by becoming a combatant, but because she did so in a foreign army, driven by a sense of justice and solidarity. Her memoir, An Englishwoman Sergeant in the Serbian Army, details her experiences with humility and pride. Evelina Haverfield, the organiser of women's service. Evelina Haverfield was a British suffragette turned wartime leader who used her organising skills and passion for women's rights to build crucial medical and relief operations during World War I. Born in 1867 into a military family, she was active in the women's suffrage movement before the war, working alongside leaders such as Emmeline Pankhurst. When war broke out, Haverfield redirected her activism into war work, helping to establish the Women's Emergency Corps in Britain. Seeing the need for women to be more directly involved in the war effort, she worked tirelessly to create roles for them outside of traditional nursing. She became a leading figure in the Scottish Women's Hospitals, a volunteer organisation staffed entirely by women, which provided medical services to Allied forces. She personally led several missions to Serbia, a country ravaged by war and disease. Haverfield was instrumental in setting up field hospitals, organising aid convoys, and recruiting female medical staff. Her administrative skills and charismatic leadership made her beloved among both her colleagues and the people she served. She also developed a strong personal and working partnership with Dr. Elsie Inglis, the founder of the Scottish Women's Hospitals. Later in the war, Haverfield shifted her focus to post-war recovery, founding orphanages and refugee shelters in the Balkans. She died in 1920 in Serbia, having chosen to remain there to assist in the country's recovery. Evelina Haverfield left behind a powerful legacy not only of service but of expanded opportunity for women in military and humanitarian roles. While Cavell, Fairchild, Borden, Sandes and Haverfield represent extraordinary examples of courage and dedication, millions of other women also played vital roles in World War I. Across Europe, the United States and the British Empire, women took up jobs in munitions factories, worked as tram drivers and postal workers, and volunteered in countless auxiliary roles. The war also led to significant social and political changes for women. The necessity of female labour, combined with the sacrifices made on the front lines and at home, bolstered movements for women's suffrage. In countries like Britain and the United States, the war accelerated the granting of voting rights to women in the years that followed. Women also formed and joined countless volunteer organisations, such as the Voluntary Aid Detachment, the American Red Cross, and the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. These groups provided logistical and medical support that kept armies functioning. The legacy of women in World War I is both heroic and transformative. They did not merely step in while men were away, they redefined the boundaries of what women could do and be in modern society. They faced danger, death and despair with a quiet fortitude that is sometimes overlooked in traditional histories of the war. Edith Cavell stood for moral conviction and humanitarian courage. Helen Fairchild represented the quiet sacrifice of those who care for others in the most perilous conditions. Mary Borden gave voice to the unspoken emotional devastation of war. Flora Sandes broke through the most rigid of gender norms, proving that bravery knows no gender. Evelina Haverfield transformed activism into action, building infrastructure that saved lives and proved the organisational power of women in crisis. Together, their stories illuminate the vital role women played during one of history's most devastating conflicts. And though many of their contributions were once overlooked or minimized, they are now rightly recognized as essential to understanding the full scope of World War I. As the world continues to commemorate the centennial milestones of the Great War, remembering these women is not just about honoring the past, it is about recognizing the timeless values of courage, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content.